So when Sonic the Hedgehog was released in 1991, it became hugely profitable for Sega. The game has sold over 15 million units worldwide, making it the best-selling title for the Genesis. Sonic became the mascot for the company and was now a household name. There was no way they were going to pass up on the success of their new character, so a sequel had to be made. I hear a lot of people talking about having fond memories with Sonic 2, and believe it or not, I actually wasn't one of them. I never owned this game as a kid. The first time I saw the game in action was through this classic game show on Nickelodeon called Nick Arcade, where Melissa Joan Hart was playing a beta version of the game. Because I was young at the time, I didn't even know it was a beta. I've only rented it once and couldn't get past Chemical Plant Zone due to being stuck in the water. It wasn't until Sonic Mega Collection released on the Nintendo GameCube that I would finally come to own the game. From there on, I got to fully experience the game and wish I owned it back then. So things got a bit rocky in the development for this game. Due to a financial dispute with Sega of Japan, Yuji Naka left the company for a brief period. A developer in the US named Mark Cerny formed the Sega Technical Institute in California. This man would later go on and be well known for creating popular franchises such as Crash Bandicoot, Spyro the Dragon, Jak and Daxter, Ratchet & Clank, Knack, and would serve as executive producer for Marvel's Spider-Man developed by Insomniac Games. Cerny recruited former Sega employees such as Hirokazu Yoshihara to join the company. Later, he reached out to Naka to develop a sequel to Sonic 1. They aimed to get the game out as a holiday release for winter of 1992. Sega originally believed it was too soon for a sequel to happen until the first game proved to be a success. This was probably the start where Sega of Japan and Sega of America would bump heads with one another, something that still happens to this day unfortunately. Much to the dismay of all of us in the fanbase. STI literally had only 9 months to complete the game. In fact, a lot of content was cut out from the final release. So when Sega started advertising for the game, they used a marketing ploy called blast processing. Sonic 2 was released in Japan on Tuesday, November 21st, 1992, which they called it Sonic Tuesday. You get it? Because they released it on a Tuesday? Yeah. The game would see a release outside of Japan 3 days later. So like with my review of the first Sonic game, I'll mainly be covering the Sega Ages version on the Nintendo Switch. Robotnik returns, and not only does he continue his previous plans of stealing the Chaos Emeralds and capturing the animals again, but now he's building an armored space station, the the Death Egg. At first you don't succeed? Try again, with a twist. Sonic learns of this and goes out to stop his plans once again. Along the way, he meets a young fox cub with 2 tails named Miles Prower, or Tails. Despite being only 8, Tails has a talent for building machines and is an expert at engineering. Although Sonic's theme started off as being nature versus technology, with his new sidekick by his side, it's time to fight fire with fire. In terms of its presentation, Sonic 2 without a doubt looks much better than its predecessor. The sprite work is a huge improvement, the level design is a lot more colorful and vibrant compared to the pale color scheme of the original. Sonic 1 didn't look bad, it looked great for when the game was released, but Sonic 2 looks even better. Emerald Hill looks more luscious than Green Hill. Sonic 2 plays and expands upon the gameplay of Sonic 1. All of Sonic's moves are the same, but new to his repertoire is the spin dash. You press the down button to crouch down, press a button to rev him up, and let go of the button to see Sonic rolling into a ball in blistering speed. This would become one of Sonic's signature moves in future games of the series. I use it all the time as it's very useful for reaching up slopes. So unlike the last game, this game has 10 zones with 2 acts per zone, with the unfortunate exception to Metropolis Zone, which has 3, and the final zone, which is just 2 boss battles. I much prefer this to Sonic 1's structure as it helps the levels not overstay their welcome. The biggest inclusion to the game is your new sidekick, Tails. You can play as him alone, Sonic alone, or play as Sonic with Tails following you through the options menu. When playing as Sonic with Tails, you can also have a buddy plug in a second controller and take control of the fox. That is, until you go so fast to off-screen him until he flies back on screen only for you to do it again. It's fun to do to your younger brother. Tails can help out in situations such as attacking enemies and bosses or help collecting rings for you. Another difference from the first game are the special stages. Instead of taking 50 rings to the end of the stage, you have to hit a checkpoint to jump and enter the stage. Introducing the half pipe. Here you must collect the required amount of rings to reach the Chaos Emerald at the end. There are 7 emeralds now instead of 6. And once you've collected all of them, instead of just a better ending, you can now transform into Super Saiyan Sonic. Sadly, he can still fall off pits and drown underwater. My only gripe with him is that his traction is slippery, which can be a problem in stages where you can overshoot a platform or slip off of it. But in this form, he's 10 times stronger, 10 times invincible, and makes boss battles super easy. If you don't want to go through all the trouble to collect the emeralds, which I don't blame you, there's a cheat code to unlock Super Sonic in the options menu. Or if you're playing the Sega Ages version like I did, you can just beat the game without having to collect them and then switch to Supersonic mode for your next playthrough. We are in different times now, folks, so you have more options now. Now for the good aspects of Sonic 2, the biggest one for me is the pacing. With Sonic 1, I mentioned that for a game advertising speed as the main selling point, you're really only able to go fast in 2 zones, whereas the rest of the levels have you going at the pace of your standard platformer or running into obstacles to slow you down. Sonic 2, on the other hand, you will be going fast in nearly every stage to the point where Sonic will sometimes even pass the screen. It makes me feel like I'm riding on a roller coaster because there's plenty of areas where you'll be going blazing fast. Did the developers of Sonic 1 not think of this when designing the game? Because this is what the first game should have been. There's rarely a dull moment in this game because if you want to explore, the level design is even more open than before. You can choose to go blazing fast as you want, you can search your surroundings to look for hidden goodies, you can take the top path or the bottom path. This is how you do classic Sonic level design to me. It's not always the case, but there's plenty of levels to go fast or explore. Now while I enjoy this game, I do have some annoyances. While Tails can accompany you to help out, there are some moments where he can mess you up, primarily in boss fights and special stages. During boss fights, when the boss gets hit, he's within an invincibility frame, meaning you don't want to touch him. If Tails damages the boss before you do, you will either take damage within the frame or fall right through the boss and die. Speaking more of Tails, when I got older, I had no idea that the ability for Tails' flight is nowhere to be used in this game. In fact, he wouldn't come to use this move till the next game. I always assumed he did because when playing as Sonic with Tails tagging along, the guy would fly back to you with his 2 tails whenever he gets left behind. Not only this, but he doesn't turn super when you collect all of the emeralds. Truth be told, what's the point of playing as Tails in this game? He's no different than Sonic. In fact, Sonic's the overall better character here. Another complaint I have, I'm just not a fan of the special stages here. I like the concept of these stages, but in execution is a different matter. Sometimes you have to be quick enough to catch the rings, but it's very easy to miss depending where you're at. On top of this, there are bombs of which if you take a hit, you lose some of your rings. This is where Tails can either be helpful or a hindrance. He can collect any rings that you miss, but also lose rings if he gets hit. And since he always jumps and moves a split second after you, he'll likely be unable to move out of the way in time. Because of this, sometimes it might be better off to play as Sonic if you're going for all of the emeralds. But even then, it's hard to collect enough rings without Tails and to avoid the bombs since you may not be able to see what's ahead of you. The last few stages are when the levels start to become a bit more frustrating. Oil Ocean feels like a slog sometimes and I tend to get lost due to the confusing level design. Metropolis Zone, arguably the most infamous in the game, where you encounter the most annoying enemies in the game, Astrons, Shellcrackers, and the Slicers, which will shoot its claws at you. Fans usually hate the Slicers the most, but Astrons are my most annoying enemy because while you're running on an elevating nut, they slowly creep towards you and explode, hitting you with their spikes, knocking you off. They're so irritating. And finally, Wing Fortress Zone. There are a few areas where you can go fast, but for me, it's too dangerous. You'll mostly be doing some steady platforming over a bottomless pit, and I find myself falling to my death a lot. Plus, I hate the boss for this stage where you have to hit the beam on top while jumping on and avoiding these spike platforms. But anyway, the soundtrack. This soundtrack is definitely more varied and way more energetic than Sonic 1's OST. They fit more in line with the setting each level takes place in. The Oil Ocean sounds more like you're in an Aztec temple than an industrial area. It'd be like playing museum music in a dumpster level. But Casino Night Zone definitely sounds like a casino, and Wing Fortress Zone absolutely sounds like you're in a fortress in the sky. It actually reminds me of the Doom Ship levels from Mario 3. I think my favorite stage themes are Emerald Hill and Mystic Cave Zone, but a lot of the music here is so good that sometimes it's hard to choose. Sonic 2 also features a multiplayer mode where you and a buddy can race each other to the end. When one player reaches the goal, the loser must reach the end in a minute, and for some odd reason the last 10 seconds will play the drowning theme. The stages themselves are just 3 levels from the main game, with the 4th one being the special stage where you must collect more rings before your opponent does. It's all good fun, but I hardly ever go back to this as they're not as fun as the main game, and this would also require for someone to play with. Sonic 2 is an overall improvement to its predecessor in presentation, level design, and the overall gameplay. Most of the levels are fun to go through as there are tons of areas where I can go fast or where I can slow down and explore to find hidden goodies. Your mileage may vary on which you prefer to do, but this game has something here for any Sonic fan or newcomer wanting to get into the series. Thanks for watching this video, and if you enjoyed it, click that like button and subscribe for more notification on when I upload videos. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you later.